sees what many others cannot see. And you can look at a body, you can look at a space, a house, a hospital, an apartment. You can see things kind of from another perspective. Explain a little bit about that, Virginia, for people that don't understand maybe how you see energy and what comes through your senses.
Good question. Um, you know, for people like myself, we are multi-gifted, multi-sensory, and we have multi-clairs. You know, you got clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, etc. So in my perspective, I feel very, very much so. I get all the energy that comes in, and seeing what I'm able to decipher as well. But then there's also the other one, which is clear cognizance, and that's the knowing. And the knowing is extremely, you know, so many people want to be clairvoyant. They want to be able to see things. But what they have to understand is that when it's not until you're ready that you're able to do that, because there are lots of things that can be seen that can be very fearful for people that are not prepared for it. Right?
Yeah.
So this is why don't ever, and the other thing is too, your clairsentience is very, very important. That's how you feel. You that understand energy, can feel whether its energy is good, bad, or otherwise. Shouldn't say good or bad, but you know, beneficial or non-beneficial.
Mm.
So yes, so this is what happens with me. I can feel and sense and see the energies that are needing to be cleared. And the other thing too, of course, Darius, is when as soon as I go into energy that needs to be cleared, my voice starts to change. Right? I
That is
just
true.
that it just changes, and yeah, and I have no sort of real control over that. Not that I would want to, because that's one of the gifts that they give me. But one of the things that's really, really coming up strong from spirit lately is everything is going to be changing. Everyone
Mm.
be prepared for what's coming, because it's not saying it's good, bad, or otherwise. It's just be aware that there's change, and very, very marked change for all of us. And that is just the way of the energy that is that is working its way through our consciousness, through our Mother Earth, through all the dimensions at this time. It has
Okay.
to change. Anything that's doesn't change is stagnant, and that stagnant energy means that you're digressing, that you're going backwards, you're reversing, and
Okay.
that's not where we want to be. We want to go forward at all times.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. We've got a lot of people's questions coming in about what you see, what's coming. I got to share one story. This was actually from
Sorry.
Linda. She says, Virginia, I had chemical poisoning recently and you helped clear me completely. She says, you are a wonderful in
Oh.
seeing into the body. I don't know how she does it, but she helped me so much through the years. She is truly authentic and the real deal. Now, you mentioned there's things that you see that maybe some of us don't necessarily want to see in the way you see them. Tell me what you've seen in the body. What are some of the things? If there was a landscape, if we were looking at a map, and maps have that little key. And on the key, there's, oh, here's a mountain, here's a road, here's a lake. What do you see? What is sort of the key of things that you've seen in the energy body, maybe that we should be aware of?
So let's just look at the physical body at this stage. Yes, because
Okay.
you know we've got all these other parts of us. And now, when you look at the physical body, it's there is a there are spots there that you can feel the energy. Sorry, my voice is starting to go because I'm in that energy right now. So there are dark spots in these places that you go into, and
Okay.
you can just see. So yeah, it's really quite. It's not as cut and dried as it would seem, Darius. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll find that most people like me who will probably try to give you a definitive answer. It may not necessarily happen that way, because we all see things differently and in our own way. And then that again changes as well, because that's the essence of energy. It changes. Sorry.
So in those dark spots, what can show up? What things have been in some of those dark spots?
Well, those dark spots they'll show me as now sorry, very, very much about non-beneficial energies.
Mm,
And those can be not only parasites, right, but also you're talking about implants.
Okay.
Uh, so, so my guides are telling me now that I'm on the right path with this and that I must say what needs to be said
Yeah, it
because
seems like you're hesitating for, or something was stopping you, or it needed clarification. Something was going on. Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
So basically, these implants are a lot of people have them
Okay.
unbeknownst to them, and they can manifest in all kinds of ways. See, I'm connecting to that energy.
Wow.
And they can manifest in all sorts of ways so that they can keep us depressed. They can keep us with foggy brain. They can they can make us feel fatigued. So all of those things that we experience as humans with so in other words, they dampen your vibration. They pull you down instead of lifting you up because that's not their job to do. They're there for a purpose, and that is to pull your energy down, your vibration down. And you think about this, well, our thoughts create our reality, Darius. So when our thoughts are not working in the most positive manner, it's pulling in like attracts like. So it's pulling in energy that is not beneficial to us. And as a consequence, they we don't even understand it. The majority of people don't know that they have these things in within them. And I've noticed something, Darius, that those people who really who have the ability to shine their light so brightly are the ones that are pulled down and are blocked and are infiltrated by these energies.
Okay. Wow. We're going to be diving into some of this today with some folks on the line. So if you've been feeling like something is pulling you down, something has taken hold and it doesn't really feel like you are living your life as you choose, something feels like it's holding you back. We're going to dive into that. Now, you describe the body as a sacred temple.
Yes.
Explain a little bit about that. Through this sacred temple, we encounter a lot of things. What are we encountering in the modern world, and what do we need to know about that?
So our bodies are the temple for our soul, as we understand.
Mm,
And but because of the way life is panning out from the majority of us, with all of the chaos in the world in all its forms, our bodies are we are stressed, we are infiltrated by all the toxins that we're just talking about, the toxins that we coming in through the skin that we're drinking, we're inhaling, and we're eating, and they're coming through the skin, through our makeup, through our shampoos, all of that type of thing, through the laundry even. We're taking toxins in all the time. It's just because we can't see them that we don't even know that they exist. And we won't even go there with microplastics because I'm sure you know all about that.
yeah. Mm,
So yes, our this beautiful temple that we have, and then of course we neglect it because of we do binge eating or we don't eat the right foods. So that's another way that we can upset the temple that we are born into. You just think about and think, of a baby and its purity. How beautiful is that child when it first comes into this world?
that's right.
And it has no filters. It doesn't know right from wrong. It just is, and it's in its most beautiful state. The majority of children come in and they are healthy, and then as we grow, all of this contamination comes in at us from all places, and that beautiful temple that we came in with, because what happens is we see a baby, but that the
Yes.
soul is can be an old soul, so it's already outside the baby's body, and it's already mature, and it finds it's very difficult to live in that very confined space. So it has to more or less come and go out of um, that little baby's body, because of the frustration of having to live in that. Anyway, I'm digressing because we're talking about how beautiful baby is in its temple. So yes, that basically is how we just get silently infiltrated with all the toxins. And not only that, but also we know entities, etc. And yeah.
You mentioned things like implants. Explain a little bit about what that is. What is an implant? Is it a physical thing? Is it a etheric or an emotional thing, or can it be all the above?
Mainly from what I understand, it is etheric. It can be also physical if some people have been abducted and they say that, they get infiltrated with a metal something, but the majority of what I know is if it's in the energy field, it's etheric. And so
Okay.
one of the worst things that I've seen is like a cap over the top of the skull. That's
Hmm.
when somebody's really, really being shut down. But the majority of them are going into the back of the neck and also into the chakras and even into the joints. Yeah.
Why would something put a cap on the top of someone's head? Is that to prevent the higher energies from
Shut them
kind of
down.
reaching and then being able to connect in higher? It's like locking
Yeah.
us into a field of consciousness or a lower vibration state.
Absolutely. Shutting them
Hmm.
down
Yeah.
and closing their consciousness off and trying to do it that way. It
W-
doesn't work, of course, because if a lot of people are already coming in and they have amazing abilities, they already came in a high vibrational state.
mm,
And regardless of what these devices that to shut them down, they've still managed to keep uh, I'm going to say keep a lid on it, but it's not true. That's exactly the opposite. But they managed to keep a certain amount of accessing source, but still the consciousness of who they are is not fully as it ought to be. Does that make sense?
Uh, absolutely. Yeah, it does. And we're getting a lot of comments coming in. I gotta share Tatiana believes something is affecting her where she lives. We definitely may need to look into that. Annette is definitely feeling some stagnant energies. And lots of other folks. One person's wondering about heart being affected in the body. This is Renee. I want to get to the body because some of the things that we're getting reports on consistently at You Author Evolution, and you've mentioned it here, things like fatigue, brain fog is a big one for some reason this season, emotional heaviness, joint discomforts, things unexplained, conditions that just never get better or that have come up recently. What are you seeing that? What are you seeing in people? And how do you know whether that is from, let's say, their own body just kind of going through the aging process, or it's something else, something external that is affecting them?
I ask.
You ask, yeah, is this it's yeah.
I ask. And usually, and one of the other things, of course, I mean, almost inevitably, Darius, we will find that it's past life,
Mm,
it's genetic, and or present lifestyle or present life that has brought in a lot of these human, body issues. But that is not to say that, how we talked about chords,
yeah.
yes? Well, there are there are different types of chords. One of the main chords is, of course, the soul chord. The soul chord connects you to source and all that is.
Mm,
Another chord is connects you back to past life stuff. Yes. Another chord will take you to your relationships with your parents and your family. And then there'll be the chord which we're working on today, which goes back to those people who we are in relationships with, whether they be lovers, whether they be friends, whether they be acquaintances that we met, people at work, all of that sort of stuff. So
wow.
everybody chords each other somewhere along the line.
Yes.
And if your courting is, if you have, excuse me, if you have an altercation with someone, or you have
Uh-huh.
a bad feeling about that person,
Hmm.
or them to you, you can send psychic energy down those cords.
Yeah, we're gonna want to definitely talk about how to unplug from those cords and also how to avoid getting plugged in. But I gotta say, we're getting a lot of people writing in. Stinar says, yes, that's my experience. A cap plus a drain from below and a cord from the side. So some
Mhm.
people are very aware of this. I've not necessarily had anyone share having three implant drains before. That is, what is going on with Stenar? Steinar? Because I don't want to see them suffer. I don't want to see them go through that. What do you see there?
Sorry. This is the energy.
Wow.
Excuse me. So, it, oh, there's a disconnect. Thank you. So this, he's definitely got the cap around his head.
Hmm.
Oh, and the dreams as he talks about it. See, in my voice, I can hardly
Yeah.
say
Wow.
my other words. And then the comments about he has been really shut down. This young man, this gentleman. Oh, Neil, I'm gonna have a look as well. So, Stenor, I see that there are also entities in your field, which wouldn't surprise me because everything's feeding on that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They're coming in to really shut him down to being the amazing, amazing soul that he is. And you know, Darius, everyone on this call, they're absolutely incredible souls. They just don't know it yet. Absolutely amazing. All of you.
Wow.
Sorry. I'm a bit sort of impromptu. I kind of go off on a tangent.
Okay. And we have something for everybody. We're going to be doing an empowerment reset to help clear the path and start the path to personal sovereignty. This is one of those energy hygiene things you absolutely have to do. I've got to ask the question, are you seeing these things increase? Are you seeing them decrease? Are you seeing them stay the same? Or are they changing into different ways that these things are happening? What are you seeing kind of on the landscape of clients and humanity right now?
Increasing, more shutting down.
Okay. So everyone is saying that we're rising and all this great change is coming. I mean, you've said it, others have said it, but then why would it increase? What's going on where some people just feel so awful and yet great things are coming? How does that work?
Because they're trying to shut down
Hmm.
the inevitable vibration that's coming. It's
Okay.
as simple as that. The more that they try and shut down, of course, the more people are starting to come to the realization that the light is powerful and to raise your vibration is extremely powerful. So it's becoming more and more mainstream. Once upon a time, I mean, look, 10, 20 years ago, would we be talking about this, Darius?
No, no.
No. Yeah. So
Wow.
that's why they're really, really shutting down because there's fear in the dark side because they know that the light is taking over, is surpassing them. But you know, it's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's got to go through the angst to get to the purity.
I agree. And we're going to be helping some folks kind of break through and maybe rise up out of what they are being affected by in just a moment. So go ahead and raise your hand. What are some of the things you've seen with different clients and things that you've helped people through? I've got so many stories and amazing things that I have in my notes from the work you've done over the years. But what are some of your favorites or some of the most surprising things as well, maybe?
Oh, good question. There's so many of them. One of the one of the most unusual ones was this beautiful lady who had been she had been a child experimented on during the time of the Nazi period by Mengele. Do you know when he experimented with
I
twins?
do. I I have somewhat of a knowledge of it. Yes.
And she could feel, I won't go into the details, but she could
Yeah.
feel all of this stuff that's happening in her digestive system.
Mm,
And when we cleared that energy, the difference for her was amazing. Yeah, I don't want to go into the details because it was horrific. But that was one of the most outstanding ones that I've ever come across, and it was, and fortunately she had cognition about this as well. She knew that this had happened to her.
This was in a
Um,
past life, then, I presume. She
yes,
was,
yeah,
wow,
yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah.
If somebody has tried everything to shift the situation, like detox, doctors, again, we love the medical community, we love working with that, diets, different types of energy, but nothing has worked. What would you tell them? What would you say to now look at that might be different than what they've done before?
I always go to past life, and I
Mm,
will always ask, especially if something has, if a pattern keeps recurring. I will ask from my guides if this is a past life issue, and almost inevitably I'll get a yes. Because you imagine the amount of lives we've lived
yes.
through hundreds of thousands of years. It's not just
S-
the one.
So it's about the energy debris. It's about somehow cleaning the debris that is
Totally,
in this
totally.
matrix, this energetic
Yeah.
matrix that we are at different layers, right? Cellular, soul. Explain some of the layers where we can find this debris.
So let me just
Yeah.
go back on to this past life thing. Usually what happens is now when something happens and it relates to past life, this is the time when it happened to them back then, when they get to the certain age. Because somebody will say to me, but I've eaten the same things for years and years and years. And what we also forget is that our body keeps changing. The cells keep rejuvenating. The cells
Mm,
keep changing. But usually, if it's something that's really quite horrific, well, severe, and we've realized that it's past life, it usually happens in the now. That this is the time back then, from the original time it happened, that age where it needed to be cleared, and it comes up now to be noticed because now is the time when these all need to be cleared out. Right. So this is when it's happening now.
yeah, and I've heard that there is this theme. Let me know if y'all have seen this too, where it seems like we're being called to clean out a lot more stuff than our ancestors. How many of you have known maybe someone in the past who, they had some tendencies that weren't good, but they lived their whole life and probably didn't have as much suffering or challenge as you've had trying to live a clean life, right? Trying to be a good person. And I've noticed this where it's like we are getting all of this sludge to work through, whereas someone else in the past, yeah, maybe they had some bad experiences, but it wasn't like constantly having to peel the onion like we're doing. Yeah, SKDOE said, yep, lineage holders, we have to clear it for them. Yeah, it's like it coming up in our lineage to clear up all this stuff that maybe they did. I don't know.
Can
I feel this very strongly.
can I
You
just
look,
say something,
yeah,
Darius?
yeah,
You must remember that they weren't didn't have the consciousness that we do now.
right.
So it wasn't their duty to do this. It wasn't their time. But we have the consciousness now. We know so much more. And
Hmm.
so therefore it beholds for us to do the when I do clearing, I go back 30 generations
Wow.
and clear it all back. And the beautiful part about it is when you do that, it means that it's released from them. They don't have to come back and do it again. That particular whatever it is. So
Ooh, for people that wonder, and we're going to get into some work here with some folks who get ready. If someone is feeling a physical issue like we've talked about, um, how does energy work help that? And I know a lot of people realize that it does, but I want to see from your perspective of what you've seen, how does the energy work of pulling out some of that darker energy? How does that affect how the physical body shows up? Explain that for folks.
okay, it's very, very easy.
Hmm,
Think about it this way. This is the physical, isn't it?
yeah.
And just above this is the etheric. And so everything that happens in the etheric manifests in the physical. Everything. So the
Everything
etheric
that
body
happens
is,
in the etheric manifests in the physical. So what we're seeing in our and again, I realize this. I'm just saying for everybody here, what we are seeing in the physical body is at some level etherically being projected into this physical form.
it's already it's already being percolating in the etheric body, but it hasn't been cleared because it's not
Wow.
been known about. Quite often I'll say to somebody, oh, I can see that your left hip has got an issue. And they'll say, no, no, it's my right one. I say, well, your left one's also getting ready to go. It's getting ready to tell you. So this is how
Oh my gosh.
when we clear that, then it won't manifest in the body, in the physical.
Amazing. Amazing. So yeah, we're going to dive into this. I'm so astounded now. One of the things you do that is unique, and we will get some callers here in a moment. You work with the heart team. And you know why I keep saying we're getting callers? Because I can feel there's so much of energy that wants to be heard and released today. I can feel there's a lot of people saying, I want some help. I want some help. Tell me about the team you work with. A lot of times we don't get into this, but it's so powerful to kind of unpack what's happening. The heart team, is that true?
It's not something that I usually like to talk about, Darius, because
Mm,
they are my guides. Yes.
mm,
And we're talking about the ascended masters. We're talking about crystalline beings. We're talking about the brothers and sisterhood of the light. We're talking about the Elohim. So we're talking about very, very high vibration.
mm.
Where it's not, it's not something I usually talk about because sometimes that can feel egoic. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It can be deemed as egoic. But I was talking to my team the other day, and they told me, be proud of what you do. Be proud, not in an egoic way, but proud because you are helping so many in this lifetime. Sorry, Darius, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And we're going to talk about some of these shifts. And I got to say, there's a lot of things that I won't repeat on the call that have happened. You can read them as we try to kind of edit them down. But you've had people who have seen things shift in their body, things leaving the body that were there. You physical things changing form. Um, there's a lot of different systems, right? We have our nervous system, immune system, endocrine system, digestive system, detoxification organs, respiratory system, cardiovascular systems. And you're going to be looking at implants and toxins in all of these systems, including the uh, muscular, skeletal, etc. Anything you want to share about some of those different systems and kind of what you've been seeing show up in those systems that might be relevant for people like on this journey today?
One of the main things that we're looking at,
Mm,
Darius, is the fact that the toxins are affecting everybody in all the systems, everything. Nothing is standalone. Now, not only those, but also the how we court each other, that also affects the chakras, and the chakras are linked to the organs. The chakras are also linked to the meridian system. So one thing I love about the body is that everything works together. Nothing stands alone. You
right.
can't say, the urinary system or the respiratory system or the central nervous system. No, because they all link in. So yes, sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was me going off on a tangent.
Yeah, we're going to dive into all of these here in a moment with Virginia. I want to get to some callers as well, as I know we got a lot of folks with hands raised and wanting some support. So let's do that. And then we're going to, as we do this, unpack more and more of what's going on with everybody. It's a little bit of a heavy topic, but I'm also very excited because on the other side of it, I know there's going to be a lot of higher energy, higher release, higher happiness, and higher love vibration coming through. Go ahead and go to reactions, raise your hand. I'm going to go straight to Kathy. Kathy, I don't know if I've heard from you before at Wealth Revolution. Hopefully I have, but Kathy R, her hand is raised. Now, Virginia, when you work with folks, one of the things I love to do, if you are experiencing an issue or anything like that, give us where it's at from a 1 to a 10, and then we'll see how it shifts. But also, Virginia, anything you want to ask folks to keep in mind before they unmute themselves today?
No, just to be open.
All right. Well, Kathy, I think you're open. I am pretty sure. How are you
Yeah,
doing today?
I'm good, Darius. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being here. What's going on?
Well, this is pretty amazing in ways I don't understand. But one of the things that Virginia said was when kind of binge eating or overeating keeps showing up.
Mhm.
And that has been showing up since childhood. And last week I did some good clearing here, and the binge eating came in right away, which really makes me wonder if there's some stuff attached, like darker energy, that I'm just not aware of yet.
Interesting. Okay. So, Virginia, binge eating. Well, you're just going to look right in and I'll keep quiet.
Kathy, I pick up trauma in you. Is that right? You've had some
Trauma,
trauma.
yes, there's
Yeah.
been a fair amount of trauma, childhood and
Yeah.
adulthood.
Right. So I'm going to take that right back to your childhood. It's a case of eating was a way of covering things up for yourself, a way of
Yeah,
really sort of, a way of really sort of loving yourself. Does that make sense, lovely?
yes, very much
So,
so.
yeah.
Yes.
So while we're here, I'll just ask if we can we clear this, guys, please? And this is for anyone else that has the same issue, really. It's about addiction. And also the case of lack of self-love, Donna. Yeah. I'm just going to go into Kathy's hippocampus as well, looking at her thirst monitor, her hunger monitor, and satiety monitor. And those are all in a balanced place right now. Kathy, thank you. So let us know how you feel about that, Kathy.
I feel really good. I so appreciate being here and your being here.
So if we talked about from 0 to 10, like Darius had said, what, how would it, do you think from your perspective, was the number for you? 10 being severe and 0 being nothing.
Okay, what before we worked, I would
Yes,
say I was feeling at about an 8, like I was on the edge of probably binging later today.
right.
Now let me just check in a second. It's at a 3. So
Brilliant.
that was remarkable for the time we spent together. Yes.
Thank you
And
so much.
and Virginia, can I ask, and Kathy, is it okay if I ask a little more about what would be causing that? What type of implant or what would be the motive for something to
No,
make a human binge eat? Okay.
it goes back to her childhood, Darius, where she was unloved.
Okay.
So this is not necessarily anything to do with entities or implants. This was the fact that she was lacking love and support as a child, because that's what children need so
Okay.
much. And this is what, I'm sorry to say this, I'm going to say this word, it screws up us, most of us human beings,
Yeah.
from our
Yeah.
childhood. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. I'm really grateful for the clarity about it being the childhood stuff and not an entity. So
No,
thank
darling,
you so much.
you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Wow. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, everyone. For people listening on the live stream, if you're on one of the other sites out there, we're going to be ending the live stream. Everyone here on Zoom, we're keep going. But if you miss the rest of this, you're on the live stream, you're catching us on YouTube, check us out at the link down below. You should find the full session.